So we are here with Ron Bumblefoot Thal. How you doing, buddy?
Good man, good. Good to see your face.
Yes, it has been a minute. It's been a while, but you are back and you have a new album coming out. Bumblefoot Returns. It's coming out January
Yes,
24th, very soon. Very soon. So the single Simon in Space is out now. Is that an indicator of what's the rest of the album is going to be sounding like, or is it just kind of taking turns as we get down the line?
it's, I guess you could say it's kind of a foundation of the sound, but it definitely goes in a lot of different directions. When I do a solo album, it's more, best way to think of it is like a photo album of, hey, here's everything I did last summer. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I went here, and here's a picture at the beach. Oh, here's when we went to see my in-laws, and here's like each picture is different. It's still you, but a different scenario, a different vibe.
Yeah.
So the common thread is you, but in different scenarios. So it's kind of like that musically. It's like just different
Yeah.
things that happen in during that time period that makes you want to take a picture, or in this case, makes you want to write a song. So it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. So what was the time period? When did you start actually like working on this or formulating ideas for it?
Well, the earliest thing on the record was this idea I had for a song when I was 19 that I just never
Oh
made
wow.
into a song. And it was during the pandemic, a lot of time on our hands. It's like, all right, I'm going to do all the things didn't have time to do and always thought about doing. So started working on an instrumental album. I hadn't done one since my very first album in 1995. And
Yeah.
even that one I did under duress. Like I was always a band guy. I was
Yeah.
raised on Kiss, the Beatles, and all classic rock groups and things like that. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a singing, songwriting, guitar player, contributor to a band, a team of people that are all contributing and making that sound happen. That was the path I was on, and that's what I was really trying to make happen.
Yeah.
And then I got my first record deal, and it was supposed to be that. And as soon as I signed, it was Shrapnel Records, and they were making a sort of an offshoot that was going to be music that wasn't all about guitar. It was going to be vocal music. So I was signed, and as soon as I signed, he's like, "Well, could we just do a guitar instrumental album to start things?" It's like, that's not what I wanted to do. It's not what we talked about. It's not the direction. So I did it, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, it led to doing a video game soundtrack for Sega
Yeah.
and music for more video games and TV shows, lots of TV shows, horror movies, all different things. So it did sort of add that branch to the tree, which is good.
So to get the since this is a solo album to kind of get the band vibe, are you collaborating with like obviously you have guests on the album, but are you collaborating with anybody like just throwing your ideas at people and saying, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Or are you keeping it more to yourself?
It happened with one song called The Thread. That song, it had a different melody to it, different chord arrangement as the main theme of the song, and it just sounded so familiar. I was like, what am I stealing this from? I know it's from
Yeah.
somewhere and I can't place it, but I know I'm doing it and I can't put it out knowing that it might be.
Yeah.
So I'm part of this email thread of like 15 people, all friends and guitar players and all different people. So I showed them, I was like, what is this? And one of them said, like no one knew. I was like, it sounds really familiar, but I can't place it. And then one said, oh, that's a Gary Moore song. I was like, okay. So went back and totally changed around the
Yeah.
chords and the melody and made something different, showed it to them. And they're like, oh, this is great. It's more you. It's its own thing and definitely hasn't been heard before.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they gave some more ideas. They said, you should, maybe you're getting too crazy too quick. Pace it. That first break in the song, just do something a little easier. And then the next break, do something crazy. So did that. And the song really became what it was just with their guidance. So I named it after them, The Thread, because that's what we call it. Our email thread, we just call it The Thread.
That's cool.
And so there's that. Now,
Uh,
when I'm doing an instrumental album like this, it's a different approach to, well, when I'm doing a band like Art of Anarchy, Sons of Apollo, Whom Gods Destroy, things like that, I'm just one slice of pizza in the whole pie.
Yeah.
Even with those bands, I did plenty of writing, especially the Sons of Apollo and Whom Gods Destroy stuff. It was really just me and Derek musically just bouncing ideas back and forth between the two of us and making all the songs and all.
Yeah.
But it tends to stay in one defined lane. You could tell what it is.
Yeah.
When I'm doing a solo album, I give it a lot more freedom. It's like no rules, just as long as things are genuine. That's the only thing that matters. As long as whatever I am, whatever kind of song I'm making, if it ends up being some slow ballad or some prog metal thing, whatever it is, as long as it's really what I'm feeling at that moment and for whatever reason. And I never write a song saying, I need to write this type of song. Never do that.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll go years without writing until something just wakes me up and it happens. Never force it.
Yeah.
So, but that's just me.
That sounds like a good way to do it.
Yeah, you gotta be genuine,
For sure.
authentic. That's the most important thing, or you're gonna hate what you do. You're gonna resent your own music. You're gonna feel like a fraud, an imposter, and that's no way to live. No.
No. And so, as I mentioned, there is guests on the album. You have like Guthrie Govan, Steve Vai, some guy called Brian May from some band called Queen that people may have heard of.
Yeah, they had like a song or two, like
I think
back in the
so.
day,
Yeah.
kind of a one-hit wonder kind of thing, yeah, or a 100-hit wonder.
When you're working with these guests, is it like you just send them the song and just say, like, go do whatever? Like, what do you hear? Or do you have like a idea for them and you give it to them?
I didn't really plan on having guests. It's just that certain songs, when they were really coming together and they were nearing that final stage, and you got a good sense of what it was,
Yeah.
you just, like a lot of these songs, I was like, you know what? It needs something that I can give it. And if I did give it, I would just be imitating these people. And I want the actual people. I don't want to do a Brian May type solo. I want Brian May. That's what
Yeah.
it needs, not a imitation version. Inspired by, you could say, but I'm being a little tougher on myself and saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that song that he's on, I just hit him up. I said, look, I got this song, and it needs you. The song will not be what it was meant to be if you're not on it. And I showed him the section. I was like, just do whatever you want. Just be you. Do what you do.
Yeah.
And he did. And wonderful. And the same with Steve Vai making this song. And it just needed something that sounded like the guitar came from another planet, another world.
Yeah.
And he's the guy for that. So
Absolutely.
hit him up. I was like, you want to throw something down? I was like, yeah. And then Guthrie, that song from when I was 19, 1989. So I was in a guitar magazine, got a real nice write-up, and my address was in there. So I suddenly got this letter from England and open it up, and there's a cassette, and it's like, hi, my name is Guthrie. I'm a guitar player in the UK. Check out my demo. I think you might like it. And we became pen pals. And we would just write each other like handwritten letters and cassettes of song ideas we're making and little things with transcriptions. Like, here's what I did in this riff. It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
And we were just these, it was before email, anything. This was 1989. We were just pen pals, and we would just stick a cassette and a letter in an envelope and send each other letters. So when I made that song from a riff from 1989, and as that song was coming together and it had this middle section that was just open for anything, I was like, you know what, it would be a good song to trade off on.
Yeah.
And I played on his album. I did the song Rhode Island Shred. I did the middle fretless solo and the harmonies to the end. I'm like, let me ask him. And he's like, of course, yeah. So we threw it down and traded back and forth, and there's that. Now, the song with Brian May also has Jerry Gaskill from King's X on drums. Because when I was first making that
Yeah.
song, I was like, you know what? Me and Jerry were always going out to dinner, and I was like, I want him on my album. And I had that one song that just needed like that slow feel with like a Bonhamy lag and the whole thing. And I was like, hit this. And he was like, yeah, of course. So we just came in. I had a drum set here, just hung out, played, and that was it. Once that song with Jerry and Brian was there, and I was showing it to Derek Sherinian, he was like, oh, I'll throw down some B3 on that. I was like, sure. So in the middle, and threw that on there. And that orchestrated song, the slow, sad funeral march song,
Yeah.
that one, it was originally, I wrote it for piano. And as I was making the song, it just developed and the instrumentation changed. And by the end, I was like, this needs like a real tear-jerker crying violin. So I hit up just the only person I thought of is Ben from Thank You Scientist. And I was like, you want to hit this? Like, yeah. So that's it. You just ask people and they'll say yes or no. And they ask you, and, to do something too. And you, same deal. It's like, yeah, I'll play on it. And that's just how it is. Yeah.
And I'm assuming most of this was recorded, at least your parts were done all at your studio and you self-produce and all that
Yeah,
cool
right in this
stuff.
chair, staring at a computer. Oh, and the VIP of the album, most important person, yes, Kyle Hughes, the drummer that plays on everything except for Jerry's song. Yeah, there is nothing that dude can't play. Anything I throw at him, like Simon in Space. Have you broken down the intro and checked it out drum-wise? What's going on there?
I have not tried yet. No.
Okay, here's the thing. Now we're gonna geek out on some drum stuff. So, I am a terrible drummer. I have ideas in my head, but my limbs can't do it. So,
Yes.
it's the typical situation, like every drummer's nightmare, like a guitarist writing drum parts. Yeah. So, what it is 7/4, and we'll just start with the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This hand is doing a 1 and 2. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. I should really be doing 1 and 2. And let me just switch it. A 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and. Well, this is going 1 and. Well, we already hit this now. But the feet are doing a 7/16 shuffle, is what I call it. Normally, a shuffle is a break of 6, is breakdown.
Yeah.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's. So the feet are doing that while everything else is doing that thing. And this is just a weird, like upside down, like I picture a cake with the icing on the bottom, and where the kick and snare are doing off stuff and the hands are keeping the steady count,
Yeah.
like the right hand. So I was doing that a lot with the Whom Gods Destroy stuff. I was writing with that inverted thing going on where it's like, where the hell's the one kind of thing of,
Yeah.
especially the kick is just all in weird accenting places. But if you listen to the hi-hat, that's where you'll find the steady thing going on.
Yeah.
So I was doing that same, I was in that mind frame from writing so much of the Whom Gods Destroy stuff, where the vocals and the drummer's right hand were the foundation, and the rhythm guitar and bass and kick were this weird off stuff at the bottom. So Simon in Space, you have this low riff going with the kicks, boom, 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 like doing this boom, 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 boom. While on the top, you're just getting boom, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. And it's just when you don't see it coming, and the album just kicks in just on 10 like that, with just hitting with that song.
Yeah.
I love the feeling it created. It's like just waking up in a tornado. It's like, what the hell's going on? Yeah.
So did you verbalize all the drum parts to Kyle, or did you have like loose drum machines or something made, or it was all just like talking?
When I was writing the stuff, I was demoing and just doing some, just MIDI patterns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, specific things like that where the music was based around certain hits that he just did his thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, he knew just what feel stuff should have and everything. So
Yeah, absolutely. So are you looking to do any live shows with any of this material, or are you going to keep it a studio thing?
I'm really trying to get away from doing live stuff. I love producing, I love teaching, I love creating, love collaborating, and I love it so much more than being on stage.
Yeah.
So as you get grayer and whiter here, and life just keeps getting more and more in the way of everything, and you have to start really choosing how to spend the time because there's just less and less of it.
Yeah.
So I'm putting more time into the things that I love most. So I'll do shows at some point. Have stuff coming up. Next month I'll be doing Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp in LA, and I'm sure we'll do like one or two shows at the Whiskey or something.
Yeah.
Then a month later, doing another one in Florida, and then I'm going to play at the Kennedy Center. I'm going to do
That's cool.
concert there. That's going to be good. And then at the end of April, I'm going to play in the Canary Islands. Do that. And I forget what's coming up after that. I got more stuff. But yeah, so
It'll all be
still
on your
doing things.
socials. If you want to see what Ron is up to, go to Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, and you will find
Yeah,
you'll
just go
keep everybody
to
up.
Bumblefoot. Yeah, the
Yeah.
only thing that isn't just Bumblefoot is TikTok. Somebody already had that, so it's Bumblefoot official. But there is nothing on my TikTok.
Not yet.
And yeah, I mean, there's things on there, but like three people are looking at it. TikTok, it's not my world, and I feel almost like I post something on TikTok, and I feel like get out of here, old man, you don't belong here, wrong room. Yeah, so I just do Instagram, Facebook, doing more Twitter now than I did for a while. But
I've just gotten off of Twitter. I do less Twitter now. So we pass each other on that one.
yeah, it's like
Well,
I'm doing threads. I'm posting on Blue Sky too. Yeah,
look at you.
kind of covering all the
All the
extremists.
bases.
Yeah.
And so the album will be out on the 24th. Is there any other singles we can expect coming out before then, or are we just looking
Well,
straight to
nah,
the
I mean
24th?
it's like not even 2 weeks away. So I put out the Simon thing. There was supposed to be a video game that came out with it, a free video game, like a retro space shooter, Space Invaders type game. But days before releasing Simon in Space, Apple flagged it and said it needs additional review before we allow it on the store, and they still haven't given it the okay. So I didn't want to put it out just for Android and PC people. I wanted it for
Yeah.
everybody. So I'm waiting on that. But it's a fun game.
I can't imagine it needed review. I'm assuming about your cat in space. I don't think it was that obscene that it needed review.
Yeah, it's like the guy who made the video game. He showed me like there's all these message boards where everyone's complaining like everything is getting flagged and they're just not letting stuff through, and it's like a big problem. Like this guy is like, I've been making apps for 13 years and suddenly they're flagging it and saying it's spam and like,
That's
and
dumb.
they won't answer me, and like that kind of thing is going on. So yeah.
Well, stay tuned for the video game. That will be
Yeah,
fun.
it's a fun thing and it's free. It's just something I wanted to make this album release as fun and as diverse as it could be. So I'm
Yeah.
doing really nice vinyl with a ton of art going on. Like the second disc is clear with it's a UV pressing and it has artwork on the fourth side. that as you're playing side three, so sides one, two, and three have music. Four is just artwork, but it's clear. You could see it through. So if you
Yeah.
see like the spaceships and things going around as it's on the turntable, full color artwork on every side of the sleeves and everything. The CD, it's not a stapled booklet. It opens up into a big giant square with artwork. I did cassette that unfolds the cassette into like a long strip of art on both sides. Then, of course, streaming, download, all that stuff. The music video, which took like a year to make, crazy video, and there's so much weird shit in there. If you were to watch it in slow motion on drugs, you would jump out a window. There's such weird shit going on that flies by just fast enough that you think you saw something, but you're not sure what it was. And and then the video game. Pretty much everything that I can do, I'm doing for the release, just to make everything available for what anybody wants. If they feel like playing a little Space Invaders type video game while listening to the music, it's a free game, just to make it fun.
Yeah.
If they want to watch the video and trip out, they can do that too, the music video. So yeah.
I want people, if anybody is watching this, can you record reaction videos of you watching the music video and upload them? Because I think we both want to see that.
I would love to see some people stoned out of their
Yes.
minds watching some of the stuff in slow motion to be like, what is that? A tree with human heads? What is that? A brick of Kerrygold butter? What is that? Like all kinds of weird stuff flying through space. Yeah.
So please do that. And like Ron said, this is all fun. Everything that you seem to be doing is fun, which not
Because
many
I've,
people are doing that nowadays.
well, what I've realized is that that's all that counts. It
Yes.
really is. It's, you always hear people saying that, well, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. It does come down to that. I mean, we all got to work, and work isn't always, all sunshine and rainbows, and, it's work, and it's not easy, and things go wrong, and it's stressful, but if you can at least make it fun for other people so that, just they can enjoy it. If you could add fun to the world, let's put it that way, then it's good that you were here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is a good way to end things. Is there anything else you want the people to know before we sign off?
I guess the next things that I'm doing for this after the album is out is I did my Helix pedal that has all the different sounds. I did presets. So every song, like everything, every sound of it, every guitar and every song on this album is downloadable, and you could and there's a lot of weird, interesting guitar sounds going on.
Yeah.
So there's that. I transcribed the entire album. Anytime any string vibrated, it is in there. So if there's 10 guitar tracks in the background, like every single one, the musical notation, the fingers, the picking, everything for the album, that's going to be out too. And the next thing I got to do is I have to make a hot sauce for this album.
Yes, you do.
I make hot sauce. I got a hot sauce company, Bumblefoot's Hot Sauce. So I was thinking, like, what would be a good one? And I'm looking at all the song titles. Like, there's Monstruoso, could be like super hot. Lift Off could just make you spontaneously crap yourself.
Not a bad idea.
But I'm thinking Moonshine Hootenanny, and maybe I could like do some like boiled down moonshine in it, and something that just feels like a nice, good Cajun kind of something. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Well, look forward to that. Look forward to the video game. Nobody's doing this stuff with an album release. You got video games, hot sauce, presets, tabs. You're going all in for this.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Don't just stick it on Spotify. Like, give
No,
people as many ways to enjoy this experience of you putting out your music as you can.
absolutely. Well, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. It's great to chat. Absolutely.